Good morning, guys. DJ AJ 101 here, and I'm here with a quick little update on Apple's announcements that they just announced this morning in New York City. Of course, it's Apple's educational event that was rumored to be announced for a long time. I don't know if they were specifically thinking education, but of course it was an education event. It took place in New York City this morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. So, of course, just a quick rundown from MacRumors.com. As you can see on the screen here, Apple launches iBooks 2 with interactive textbooks. So that means Apple is working with the three biggest brands in the textbook industry today in the United States, which is McGraw-Hill, Pearson's, and Mifflin Harcourt, of course, on these textbooks that Apple is going to be launching through their iBooks 2 store, which is going to be specifically aimed for students. And I think they're more targeting this toward high school students with interactive textbooks. And I'm sure it's also going to be for the elementary and middle school students as well. But of course, they want to target these three major textbook publishers in the US to get these prices for these textbooks down quite a bit, because as we all know that textbooks are basically expensive. You know, all the pages in the paper, they make them ultra expensive, and a lot of people don't like that. They're hoping to get textbooks down to $15 or less on these iPads. So you're going to be able to purchase these textbook apps, textbooks, these applications that are textbooks, which I think is really cool, and they'll actually be in your iBooks application. You'll actually be able to use them for school, and they'll, as you can see right here from the picture, it really looks neat. I was just watching the keynote and just kind of seeing what they all had from the live coverage, and it really did look cool on how you're going to be able to build these applications. And of course, as they run down it right here, they experience the multi-touch, so they're going to take the multi-touch into textbooks, which I think is really cool. So you got pictures and stuff like that, and you can have interactive features in your textbooks, which I think is genius. So you can actually have videos and stuff pop up for these specific classes and whatever else you want. And of course, these are going to be able to be designed by teachers themselves. They have tap to dive into images with interactive captions, rotation 3D objects, swipe through these image galleries, watch full screen videos, and more. So just like I was just saying, you'll actually be able to watch video, and you'll actually be able to interact. Because if you guys have ever played with the application on the iPad, the Elements, you're actually able to move the elements around and see them and kind of do some really cool, crazy things inside the application. So it looks like they're going to bring that to interactive digital textbooks on the iPad, which I think is really cool. You're also going to be able to take advantage of study cards to help you memorize important highlights, notes, and glossary terms. So you're actually going to be able to highlight in these interactive textbooks with multi-touch. So you're actually not even going to have to use the highlighters anymore. You can actually highlight in your textbooks now, which I think is really cool. Of course, back when I was in high school, we didn't have anything like this, and you always had to make sure not to highlight stuff, otherwise you'd get yelled at by the teacher if it wasn't your textbook, and they need to use it for the next how mmany years to come. You'll actually be able to do that in the iBooks application. And of course, tap glossary terms and see definitions, key topics, concepts without leaving the page. Of course, all interactive, and this can all be done digitally on the iPad, which is one of the biggest advantages of having it on a digital multi-touch glass display and a device such as the iPad, because they already have 20,000 dedicated application apps in the actual App Store today. So of course, this will actually be a huge add-on to that. And of course, with these three major publishers going to be able to take advantage of the iPad and the multi-touch glass display to be able to create these textbooks that are interactive in the iPad, I think it's going to be a huge advantage for Apple, especially since they control the platform front to back. So we'll have to see how this goes. And 1.5 million iPads are already being used in education right now. So, and I'm sure Apple expects that number to keep growing quite aggressively as they continue to roll out these new features, such as the iBooks 2 with the interactive textbooks. Now, that was the only thing Apple talked about today. They also announced the feature, as I scroll down here, that they are now creating another application for the Mac. It's called iBooks Author, and it's actually an ebook authorization app for the Mac. And now what you're going to be able to do with this is teachers are going to be able to go on their computer and actually add all these, Microsoft, PowerPoints, keynotes from Apple. They're actually going to be able to add these Microsoft Word documents and basically create their own application for the way they want their students to learn their course that they're teaching. I think that this is personally genius. I think this is actually going to give teachers a lot more leeway on basically almost creating their own textbook in a way, so that you can custom fit it to your class. Because if you've ever been in class, and I remember when I was in high school a few years back, I'm not that old, but a few years back, it was always, we're going to skip this chapter because it's not exactly what we're talking about. We're going to do this because it's not exactly, covering what we're going to do. This is in the wrong order because we have to do this. We're going to skip over that. a real mess, and I think it really just took time away from the class, actually having to skip this stuff and look exactly where we had to look to get the right information that we were talking about. With this, I think it's going to give teachers a lot more leeway as far as making their presentations and making their applications better and more focused toward the students, and especially what they want to teach. And not only that, but I think this is going to make a great demo. And not only that, because you can have the teacher up in front giving the presentation, and then it'll be exactly as it is on your iPad, so they can actually practice this, they can do it better, and not have to worry about all these textbooks getting in the way of all these sections where we aren't going to cover this right now, and they should always be maybe back further or ahead further, so that they're a little bit more accustomed to our teaching style here at this specific school, whatever their reasons are going to be. But I think that this is really genius. And maybe hopefully Android will catch on as well, so we can have some competition to this, so maybe Apple can even implement this better. I haven't seen it yet, so I would like to actually see it, to see how much implementation it has on the teaching world. But I think that this is a great tool for teachers. Obviously, to create your own custom apps in these textbook formats, and be able to basically create your own presentations in that style format and have students learn from it, because you're going to have interactive video and text, and it's basically going to be custom fitted to that class. I think that's a really cool idea, especially with this new iBooks author application. I can see a lot of teachers taking advantage of that as iPads grow in education. But anyways, guys, these were the two announcements that Apple had today. I figured I'd just cover them quick for you. I've kind of been jump cutting a little bit to get information that I wanted to talk to you. But really, those are the two big announcements. And also, before I forget to mention, there was also a little bit of an overhaul of iTunes U. It's actually now its own application. iTunes U is taken out of iTunes and made its own dedicated app on the iPad, and I'm sure soon to follow the iPhone. But anyways, guys, what do you guys think about all this? Do you think that this is a great direction for Apple to go in? I'm really impressed by this iBooks author application, especially when it's going to allow teachers to take advantage of the own format that they can teach in, especially more custom fitting to that. I'm really impressed by that. And of course, with these three major publishers getting on board with the iBooks 2 store and actually being able to publish titles directly to the iPad for less than $15 for every book, I think that's really cool, especially when you look at the prices of what an actual textbook would cost you today. I think that this is the right direction going forward. But I would like to hear what you guys have to say. Please leave your comments below if you do have them, or send me a message. I'd be happy to answer them if I happen to have the answer from this article. Of course, I'll have the link to Mac Rumors. I'll have the link to these two articles right here from the Mac Rumors site in the description below, so you guys can check them out for yourselves. Also, rate this video up if you happen to like this video, because that helps me out, and also subscribing helps me out, so you guys know when I post new interesting and exhilarating tech content like this, like Apple's event that they had today. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Please leave your comments, rate this video up, and subscribe if you would like. I will see you guys in my next video. Otherwise, till then, guys, have a great